What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the endings, plural, of Hogwarts Legacy. So this is going to obviously contain major spoilers, and what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the different endings, how you get there, right? What are the decisions you have to make to do it, and then what I think about it, the good, the bad, of the good and the bad endings overall, and I guess the secret ending, not so secret, okay? So turn away now, because here we go, we're jumping in. So here's the deal. I really like the good ending. I really like it. And I've said this before, I think when the game goes for it, and when they really try, and when they're trying for these story beats, they nail it. I think certain characters, Professor Fig in this case, is going to be a big part of the ending. But even the idea of like the Isadora and all of the past, the flashback stuff, I think is incredible. Like seeing how her story ends, seeing the dark magic, kind of trapped underneath Hogwarts. So seeing that flashback was incredible. I think that was a really, really good scene, and I really like the final mission, the battle for Hogwarts-like thing. The professors come in. Now, I don't know why Garlic wasn't there. She's like the only main professor that didn't show up, but everybody was there, all this battle. It was great. It was great to see the wand work going on. It felt very powerful. I'll give them that 1,000%. So what we're talking about right now, right, is leading into that final room when you see the magic and then you and Fig have the talk, right? Right before then, I thought was phenomenal. Fighting the goblins, very high stake. The music, so good. Even the music throughout the entire ending, incredibly good. And then you get to that. So you get to the ending. All right, so how do the endings work, right? You got the good ending, you got the bad ending. Technically, there's 3 different choices that'll get you to 2 specific endings. It's part of the reason why I will say this. I'm not a fan whatsoever of the bad ending and also how they leave pretty much everything, whether it be the good or the bad. I'm not a fan at all. I'll explain why as this video goes on. So you choose the good ending, which is basically keeping the magic contained. Now, what's odd about this is when you're talking to the keepers, right? They tell you you're going to have 3 options, right? In all. Very Mass Effect 3-like, by the way. Destroy, contain, or like use for yourself. It's almost actually exactly Mass Effect 3, which is a little shocking. So you get to the end, and you get asked by Fig, hey, what will you do with it? Now, I like it in a sense because, teacher, student, you've had this relationship. I will say I'm not the biggest fan only because it almost sounds like a pop quiz. Like he's saying, hey, when we walk across that bridge right there, that rock formation, what are you going to do with it? It doesn't seem like a final decision. But the trick is, or the catch is, the decision you make right there with Fig, that is the ending. What you choose determines the final cutscene, which is kind of nuts because it doesn't feel like it's going to be that. Does that make sense? So I chose, I'm going to contain it. I'm going to do literally what the keepers told me to do. I'm going to lock it away. It's going to be kept here. Now, I went on to say I will trust others with the information as I get older, like throughout the years. There's a couple different, deviation that you can pick what to say. It again leads you to the same thing. So choosing to contain it leads you to the good ending. Choosing to use it gets you the bad ending. Now, what's interesting with that one that I find kind of weird is it's one choice that then leads to 2 choices. So you either say you're going to contain it or you're going to use it. When you say you're going to use it, Fig's like, but didn't you pay attention to the whole game, the whole purpose of this game we created for you? And then you say, well, here's the deal. I'm either going to use it for good. Isadora kind of got corrupted and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use her failure to make it so that I don't fail, which honestly, I kind of like that mindset a lot. I didn't choose it, but I really like it. The other option is just full on bad. No, I'm using it for myself. Like I could care less about anybody else. I'm using it just for me. Now, while I like those options, the odd thing is it leads to the exact same cutscene. So it's pretty weird that there's 3 in all kind of choices, word choices you can make, but it really only leads to 2 things. You either use the magic or you don't use the magic, and that's it. Doesn't matter what you're using it for, which I think is what people, I've seen comments and stuff on different YouTube videos that show the good and bad ending, and people are being like, well, I chose to use it, but for like a righteous reason. Like, I'm going to use it to help people. I'm not going to use it evil-wise for myself. But you still get the same ending, which is very, very odd. So you go through it, and a couple things that obviously change, right? So Fig dies, And he dies in a split second. I don't love that. It's actually what I mentioned in the review when I said like these weird cuts that sometimes the game has. He dies like randomly and just kind of like in a split second. You could blink and actually miss it, and I'm not joking about that. And if you chose the bad ending, which is, saying I'm going to use the magic, no matter what you'll use it for, he's dead. He doesn't come back to help you. If you do the good ending, he'll come back. He'll try to keep everything, formatted the right way, and then you'll seal the magic up. And if it's the bad ending, you'll pick up Miriam, his wife's wand. If it's the good ending, you'll give it to him. You'll put it kind of on his chest as he dies. I really like the good ending. Like, I like that heroicness that he kind of comes back for like one last thing. He's using all his energy and he kind of dies from it, right? I like that. I think the good ending is actually really good. And again, to get to the secret ending, the House Cup stuff we'll get to, all that stuff happens regardless. But here's where it starts to get a little messy. Couple things. Number one, Ranrock, what happens to him? I was looking for like a good solid hour watching every video online of every different ending, even though there's only a few, but I would like stare and be like, well, one of these has to show, because you defeat Ranrock as a dragon, which I'll also say, I like it in some sense. I liked the orbs, like destroying them with the specific spells. I'm not a fan of making him... They do the thing that like a lot of games or even like a lot of movies do, right? Whether it's a huge CG like villain army that attacks you in like a movie, or a game where maybe the character would have been too underpowered, so you just make them like something else, so he just becomes a dragon instead of a goblin. Like, it's just very odd. They did that, honestly. I mentioned I really didn't like either Ranrock or Rookwood. Rookwood got the same kind of treatment. What in God's name happened there? He takes you, you have the cool little cutscene in Hogsmeade, which I actually really liked. He takes you, you fight, you do two spell blasts, and the second one, he like blows up, and I was like, wait, did we just kill him? Is he gone? And then you just go around telling people, yeah, Victor Rookwood's dead. Wait a second, that's the second main villain of the game. He was in like 4 cutscenes for maybe like 6 minutes in all. That's how you killed? So I was really not a fan of how they, finished Rookwood or Ranrock. Ranrock was even more odd because I didn't love the dragon idea to change him to a dragon. I think you could have done cooler like mini games with like battling and like linking spells together and seeing who wins. I think you probably could have gone that way, but you did that with Rookwood, so maybe they didn't want to do it with Ranrock. But when Ranrock gets defeated, he's just lying there. He's still moving though. Like, I think it's kind of clear he's not dead. But the thing is, everything's kind of falling apart, and then you do whatever you're going to do. You either seal the magic or you take some of the magic for yourself and then seal the rest of it. But they don't show Ranrock. And then when you're doing the House Cup and you talk to Professor Weasley, they never bring him up. So is he dead or is he arrested? Like, what happened to him? And the game literally doesn't tell you. I think that's not good. Now, maybe there's DLC, but whenever you have to say DLC or a sequel to answer that question, that's not a good thing. So I'd like to throw that in there. Now, another big issue I have is you got the ending, that ending, sealing it or using it, and then you have everything after. What's odd is the placement. So, like, the good and bad ending is not actually the end, like the closure of the game. So you do what you do. And when you do, like, the bad ending, you, like, sniff the magic, your eyes glow red, right? Like, you're clearly in possession of something not great. Like, it corrupts people. It kind of makes them lose their mind a little bit. It's not great to have with you. And you don't use it. Like, nothing happens at all. You continue. Now, like, that's common, right? But, like, I had always said what I thought this game would do in terms of the open world, like letting you explore the world. I thought they would let you do it right before the final mission. So you'd beat the game, and then it would place you right before the final mission and say, okay, you beat it, but you can just go around. Just if you want to do the final mission again, you can. Instead, the game says, well, beat the game. You can be in possession of this really dark magic, or you don't have to. But either way, we're going to put you back into the world as if nothing happened. And I'm not a fan of that ever in like any game. So I'm not a fan of it here either. I will say the House Cup, love it. Absolutely love it. The only weakness with that is that it's this grand thing. The music is so good. Even like the back and forth between Headmaster Black and Professor Weasley, I love it. Black is trying to be kind of this heroic thing, and he does it with Fig too. I love that. Again, I actually think there's a lot of really good character moments in where Black is trying to do his toast, and I think he does care at least a little bit. But he keeps like throwing in almost insults, like, well, if he just listened to rules, he wouldn't be dead. Like, he doesn't know how to like capture the moment, and then Professor Weasley does, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna give it to you. You're able to talk in this situation better than me. I love that, and even the House Cup, I love the Harry Potter esque kind of thing where you get 100 points, you kind of saved everybody, saved the day, so you get 100 points, and then your house wins the House Cup. I love all of that. Only weakness is when the students come up to congratulate you. I believe there's 5 of them. There's you and then 5. It's such an odd scene. And while I said in the review, I actually got quite emotional. Like, not teared up, but like I was like, this is a really cool ending, and I really love it. I was feeling that while watching this celebration. Again, the music is so good. And, they show the ceiling of the Great Hall, and it's so good. And then, like, you're dancing around with, like, these 5 kids. It's a great hall. There's nobody there. So that may have been limitations of the studio. They weren't able to do it. It had that problem really throughout the whole game. Anytime you went into the Great Hall, there's not enough people at the tables, like, eating. In that scene where they're awarding the House Cup, you literally see, like, 5 people in each house. There's not nearly enough, not even close. So that was kind of bad, and it was kind of highlighted because it's like, well, this is almost laughable how bad it is. But beyond that, the rest was fantastic. The thing, again, with me is I feel like they left so much on the table. I said this in the review. I think throughout the game, there's several things that they went for and they really nailed. And then some things that they either forgot about or they didn't have the time or the resources or whatever. And I couldn't say it in the review because it's spoilers. The ending is the biggest culprit of that. Really. Like, some of the characters actually do get a pretty good wrap-up, right? You do the final quest with Poppy, Natsai, and Sebastian, or you talk to Ominous if Sebastian's not there, right? And I think it's good closure. I actually think those characters got really good closure. In terms of, like, how I feel, though, it's like you end the final mission, it's winter time. You do the toast, and then you jump to the spring, and the whole idea of the spring is just get ready for your OWLs, your owls, and I just went right, because I was almost done with the field guide anyway, and I just went, and then you take the owls, and that's a cool cutscene too. People are cheating, right? You're doing all the exams and stuff. That's really cool. Again, it felt very Harry Potter-like, and I loved it. I really, really loved it. But it's like, I feel like you rushed, because you ended the game actually halfway through the school year. The ending of the game is around Christmas, winter time, and then you do the toast, and then you jump to the spring. You don't have to do anything. You just take your owls, you do that quest, and then you're done. And again, through all of that, you may be in possession of really dark magic inside of your very core, and just nobody could care less. And Ranrock's just left. I have no idea what happened to him. And again, my issues with what they did with Ranrock, with Rookwood, there's just a lot of stuff where I felt cheated. I actually felt like they cheated me out of certain things. And the reason I always feel that way, or I feel that way in this game, is because I saw the greatness. When Rookwood and Ranrock were in it, there's some really cool scenes between the two of them, or with you. I liked a lot of it. And then when you end Rookwood the way you do, I get pretty upset because it's like, well, I know you're capable of doing pretty cool stuff. That was not good. Ranrock, same thing, right? Leaving him. Is he dead or is he arrested? I don't actually, maybe you guys know, leave in the comments. I don't actually know. And if you say, well, they can, and I'm sure, because people have said it. I'm not saying it's necessarily like you're evil for saying it in the comments or anything, but saying, well, that's what DLC is for. That's a sequel. If a game leaves off, right, the ending of the game leaves off, and you need a DLC to kind of finish it, that is not a good game. That is not the design of a good game whatsoever. Now, I think the game overall is actually extremely good. I guess it'd be that aspect of the game, right? The ending, I could never call the ending good if you need DLC to finish it. That is not a blueprint that I want anybody to. I thought we were long past that, right? That's looked down upon in the gaming industry. And to be honest with you, this game kind of had it. I'm not even too mad with the idea of, you have like 3 choices. I mentioned Mass Effect. It literally, destroy, contain, or use. It felt so much like I was going to be given the options of Mass Effect 3. The thing that's the difference is Mass Effect always made it feel like your decisions mattered. This game was pretty apparent with nothing you do actually matters. So when you are given decisions, even though it's limited, even though it only goes to like 2 different endings, I didn't feel cheated or like they hated me or anything like that in any way, because the whole game makes it clear that, the game doesn't remember. The game doesn't know what you just did. It only matters what you're saying in the present. It was odd, the Mass Effect 3 feeling I had, but at the same time, it's like, no, I get it, and I'm not going to really, judge it too hard, because the entire game doesn't have consequence. If the whole game has consequence, and then the ending is one of 2 choices, and it's just so cut and dry, much like Mass Effect. Life is Strange, the first Life is Strange game, was a huge culprit of doing it. Whole game felt very cool. You felt like you were going down different paths. Final ending, just 2 different choices. That's it. It all comes down to one choice between 2 things. It's a huge problem, and it's a thing that I think a lot of RPGs, Life is Strange not being one, they haven't really solved it yet. And Hogwarts Legacy definitely doesn't solve it, but honestly, not even the worst part of the ending. So, to be flat out real, I loved the good ending. I think if I only played the good ending, I would have very little to say negative about it, including the House Cup, including talking to Professor Weasley, saluting, raising your cup to Professor Fig. All that stuff was fantastic. The visuals, the music, everything really well. It's only when you look at, I would say, the other side, when it's like, well, and not even the other side. If you analyze Rookwood or you analyze Ranrock too much, is going to lead you to, I guess, maybe where I am. And then the bad ending is just odd because it's, by the way, it's also so different. So how do you make a sequel? Now, we'll talk about that probably in future videos. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it, actually. How do you do anything in the future with this game? Because if you do a 6th year, right, Hogwarts Legacy 2, you go back for your 6th year, don't you have to choose something to be canon? You would have to say containing it or having it in you, that's canon, because you can't possibly have both. You're too powerful. It would corrupt you, or maybe it wouldn't, but you'd have to explore that, right? That's kind of the point. Maybe the power won't corrupt you like it did Isadora, but you have to go down that road. And if you allow us to go down one of 2, you can't do it. Games just aren't capable of doing that yet. So I'm going to be really interested to see what they use for the next game, or if there is no next game in this world, they pick a different timeline. I actually think that would be the easiest because you wouldn't have to worry about any of these issues. Does that make sense? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm sure I'll do more videos on this, but just for right now, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.